For centuries, the Roman Empire appeared indestructible. Its armies marched across continents. Its laws shaped the lives of millions. Its cities rose in marble and stone, symbols of order in a chaotic world. To those who lived within its borders, Rome was not merely a political power. It was civilization itself. From the cold frontiers of Britain to the deserts of Syria, Roman authority shaped everyday life. Trade flowed through its ports. Grain shipments crossed the Mediterranean, feeding the enormous population of the imperial capital. Roman roads stretched across continents. Engineers connected lands that once seemed impossibly distant. It was a system so vast, so powerful, many believed it would last forever. But by the 5th century, that illusion began to fracture. The empire that once dominated the Mediterranean world was no longer unstoppable. Not anymore. Its economy strained under growing pressure. Its armies stretched thin across vulnerable borders. Political power inside the imperial court became dangerously unstable. Something profound was changing inside the Roman world. But what was truly happening inside the empire? And why did Rome suddenly seem so fragile? At first, the signs were subtle. Rome had survived crises before: civil wars, invasions, economic turmoil. Each time the empire adapted, each time it endured. But this time was different, because the forces gathering around Rome were not simply another crisis. They were part of a transformation already reshaping Europe. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the foundations of Roman power were eroding. Beneath the appearance of stability, the machinery of empire was becoming fragile. The imperial government struggled to maintain order across vast territories. Communication between provinces could take weeks, sometimes months. Decisions made in the capital often arrived too late to stop frontier crises. Local commanders facing immediate threats began acting independently. The unity that once defined Roman governance was weakening. What had once been a tightly controlled empire became fragmented. Regional powers began to rise. Rome still looked powerful, but appearances can deceive. If Rome still seemed strong, why was its authority collapsing? The turning point did not come overnight. The fall of the Western Roman Empire was the result of decades of instability, political mistakes, military failures, external pressure. By the late 4th century, massive migrations were transforming Europe. Entire tribes were moving, not as conquerors at first, but as refugees. The Huns emerged from the vast steppes of Central Asia. They moved westward with terrifying speed and violence. Their arrival triggered a chain reaction. Germanic tribes beyond Rome's borders were suddenly forced to move. Among them were the Goths. Driven by fear of the Huns, thousands of Gothic families gathered along the Danube. The Danube River marked the northern boundary of the Roman Empire. They were desperate. They did not arrive as invaders. They arrived seeking protection. They begged Rome for permission to cross the river,
These
to
reports
settle
demand
inside
action
imperial
now,
territory.
but the frontier
For
tribes
Roman
are
officials,
watching.
it was a moment of enormous consequence. Handled wisely, the Goths could have been integrated as allies, as soldiers. Rome had done this before, many times. In earlier centuries, foreign tribes had been absorbed into the Roman system. They served in the legions. They adopted Roman customs. Some even rose to positions of power. But by the late 4th century, Rome was no longer the same. Administrative strength had weakened. Corruption spread through the imperial system. Officials saw opportunity instead of responsibility. Bribes were accepted. Promises were broken. Food meant for refugees was stolen. Families were left starving. The situation quickly deteriorated. Desperate parents sold their children into slavery. Resentment grew, anger spread, and desperation turned into revolt. In the year 378, the crisis erupted into open war. Near the city of Adrianople, Roman legions confronted a massive Gothic army. Roman commanders believed their disciplined legions would easily win. They were wrong. The Gothic forces were determined. They fought for survival and for a place inside the empire. When the battle began, Roman formations collapsed. The result was catastrophic. The Roman army was annihilated. Emperor Valens died on the battlefield. For the first time in centuries, a Roman emperor had fallen in battle. The shock was enormous. Adrianople shattered the myth of Roman invincibility. For centuries, Rome believed its legions could not be defeated. Adrianople proved that belief was an illusion. From that moment forward, the empire was no longer invincible. It proved Rome could be defeated. And it revealed something deeper. Rome no longer controlled its borders. But if Rome could still survive this defeat, what would finally destroy it? The empire did not collapse immediately. It survived for several more decades. But the balance of power had shifted. Rome no longer dictated events, it reacted to them. By the early 5th century, the Western Roman Empire struggled to maintain control. The imperial government had grown weak. Real power belonged to generals, not emperors. Military commanders competed for influence. Political intrigue dominated the imperial court. Emperors rose and fell rapidly. Some ruled only months, others became puppets of powerful generals. Meanwhile, migration continued to reshape the empire. In the winter of 406, a coalition of tribes crossed the frozen Rhine. Vandals, Alans, Suebi. They poured into Roman Gaul. Frontier defenses collapsed. Entire provinces descended into chaos. Cities were abandoned. Roman authority crumbled. The imperial government lacked the resources to respond. Armies were already deployed elsewhere. Frontiers once protected were now exposed. At the same time, another threat emerged, one that would strike the heart of the empire. The Visigoths, led by their king Alaric. Alaric had served in the Roman military. He understood the empire, its strengths, its weaknesses. He knew Roman politics. He knew the leadership was divided, and he understood something else. Rome was vulnerable. When negotiations failed, he marched toward Italy. The unthinkable was about to happen. In the year 410, Rome faced a nightmare. An enemy army stood before its gates. For nearly 8 centuries, this had not happened. Alaric and the Visigoths marched into Italy. The imperial government in Ravenna struggled to react. Political divisions paralyzed decision-making. Diplomacy failed. Supplies inside Rome ran out. Fear spread through the population. And finally, the gates opened. For 3 days, the Visigoths looted the ancient capital. The destruction was not total, but the shock was immense. Rome had been sacked. The city that once ruled the known world was violated. News spread across the Mediterranean. Many believed the world was collapsing. The fall of Rome had seemed impossible. Yet now it had happened. Philosophers tried to explain. Some said it was divine punishment. Others believed it was inevitable decline. But one truth could not be denied. The aura of Roman invincibility was gone. The empire still existed, but it no longer inspired fear or respect. Power was shifting. The Western Roman world was transforming. But the final chapter was still coming. By the year 476, the Western Roman Empire reached its end. The emperor was a young boy, Romulus Augustulus. His name felt symbolic. Romulus, founder of Rome. Augustulus, a diminished form of Augustus, the title of Rome's first emperor. But this final emperor held almost no power. Real authority belonged to a Germanic commander, Odoacer. Odoacer commanded the armies of Italy, and in 476 those armies turned against the empire. Romulus Augustulus was forced to abdicate. No great battle, no dramatic siege. The final act was quiet, almost unnoticed. The imperial insignia was sent to Constantinople. Odoacer declared himself king of Italy, and the office of Western Roman Emperor ceased to exist. After more than 5 centuries, the Western Roman Empire was gone. But Rome's legacy did not disappear. Roman law shaped medieval kingdoms. Roman roads remained in use for centuries. Roman ideas influenced future civilizations. The empire had fallen, but its shadow would stretch across history for centuries to come.